Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Rogue Deck Chronicles. Once again, I am Dean, and I have Devin with me.
Hey everybody, hopefully everyone had a great weekend getting ready for the new format, I'm hoping.
I know me and Joe had a great time playing Pokemon this weekend. We had that live stream on Friday, so thank you everyone that came out and watched the live stream. We had some great chats going on, talked about different things, even talked about the new Final Fantasy for Magic Gathering that's coming out this week. So we kind of just had a nice chill vibe, play testing some new archetypes from Destined Rivals. And then I actually competed in a couple CP events. It was the last weekend we can earn CP for this season other than NAIC.
Mm-hmm. So how did your events go? I know you and I were talking.
I attended.
Let's
put it this way. I just attended. I didn't do well. So I played at a challenge on Thursday, and we actually had pretty high pricing. My shop had some 151 product that they were giving away, so a lot more people came out for that.
Oh wow!
And I just didn't have the placement I wanted. I didn't play well at all, but it is what it is. I had fun, and then we had a cup on Saturday at For Honor and Glory up in Z Hills, and only 6 of us showed up, so very low attendance cup.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of good players there, and I unfortunately did not do well. But
I mean, you were telling me everyone kind of was having fun with it anyway. Like the deck's there. Like it's not like you ran into 5 Guardies in yourself. Like it seemed like everyone kind of just was trying to just have fun with it.
Yeah, it's just like some people. You and me were talking a lot of rogue decks, and we were talking about that. Like we're like, this is unusual. We never see this many off meta decks.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like 5 off meta decks and then 1 meta deck. So it was really interesting. But yeah, it was a blast. We just hung out. A lot of us are going to NAIC, so we kind of just talked about like how we're preparing for it, what we're excited for, what restaurants we're gonna go to, stuff like that. So it was really down to earth cup.
I would say it is in New Orleans, so of course restaurants are on the high end of the list. So I get you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're excited. I'm even talking to my friend group that I'm staying with for New Orleans, and of course we're like, what restaurants are we going to? Are we going to do any Pokemon trivia while we're there? Because someone's hosting a trivia at one of the bars in New Orleans, so we're planning on trying to get a spot for that, and we're just excited to meet up and just have a good old time.
That's good. And like you mentioned, this is the last weekend outside of the NAIC that people could get CP. With that being said, there was also the last big event of the format and of the year that isn't an NIC that happened over in Italy with
So there was a special championship event in Bologna.
Yeah, so about 1,240 players participated. So that's still a pretty big special event, all things considered. And honestly, looking at the results, looking at the day 2 lists, there is one thing that doesn't feel like it belongs. And it isn't where the fact that the deck made day 2, it's the fact where it finished, I think, right?
Yeah. So Simon Schwang from Switzerland won the whole entire event with the powerhouse meta deck of Poison Moon.
And that's interesting. Yeah, like
meta? No.
I mean, Roaring Moon isn't off meta by any means. It always flirts with day 2. It always has a couple of spots in day 2. But the fact that it won the whole thing, I think that's where the story is, right? It's
like as you mentioned, it's made day 2. It's always had a presence, but it's never really like went above top 32. And if we are seeing it kind of do better, it's really with the Baby Moon Dunsparce package. But that's not the one that did well. It was actually the pure Poison Moon with the EX, with the Poison package, with the Petron, Brute Bonnet combo with Perilous Jungle. I'm actually really excited because that was the deck I was kind of piloting for the last month or so. Was this Poison Moon deck? It reminds me of my favorite deck, Cloth, a lot. You
Yeah.
have the poison, you have the donk potential going first, which, if you look at the finals, game 1 lasted 10 seconds because he got the opponent started with Cleffa. He
Oh,
opened up with Brute Bonnet, and in his hand he had Peerless Jungle, Booster Capsule. Didn't even play a single card
I would
other than
say
those cards. And they went
stadium
to game 4.
attachability pass.
Literally, it was like draw, jungle, booster, and they both just look at each other like, okay, I go second.
I mean, that's the risk with baby Pokemon. Like, everyone's like, oh, they're so strong. Like, yes, Cleffa is super strong. Budew is super strong. The Ethan's Pichu is going to find a spot once it becomes legal in standardized tournaments. But the issue with these baby Pokemons, they have no HP.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many different ways that you will get donked because a lot of decks set up with the items. They don't just naturally have thick Pokemon counts. So that happening is not surprising.
Oh no, it happened at EUIC. Like literally, the first game we all missed because there was still the commentators were still talking, and all of a sudden you see the players shuffling. They're like, "What happened?" They're like, "Oh, we missed game 1." So people just expect the game just to be like, "Oh, we'll have a turn, and we'll get it like mid turn 1." But sometimes you just have the cards in your opening hand. I know I'm used to playing a deck like that. I love that type of style. But yeah, like just seeing Rory Moon EX take the win at the final major event outside of NAIC, it's really cool that something other than Guardy, something other than Dragapult is having the time to shine.
Yeah. Now, Guardy
I'm
was
looking
in
at
the
the board.
finals with it, though, so it's not like Guardy didn't have a good weekend.
Oh no, it always has a good weekend. It was a good, like, Rory Moon is a good call. Like, you hit Guardy for weakness, and it's been winning everything. So you have the donk potential. You hit for weakness if you can get set up. And really, like, I like this list a lot because this is actually the almost exact 60 that I was running. It's just he had a much better outing than I did.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, he didn't run into 3 grass decks like you did. How about that?
Yeah. So, but yeah. Sorry, Limitless is acting weird on me.
No, it's
But
fine.
yeah. But I really like the fact that if you look at the top 8, because it was a clean top 8, it was very much a Italian heavy tournament, which is great because this country has a lot of great players.
Yeah.
And it's really cool that you see a home country really show out strong. We're used to that for North American regions because most of the players, like, our region is just 2 countries.
Yeah.
So it's weird if we don't see US or Canada make top 8 in our regionals because we're a very big player base. But when you go to European region, players come from all over. So the fact that the home country can stand up, show out, I think that's really cool for that player base in Italy.
Yeah, and part of it also is it's a special event, not a regional. So obviously the pricing's a little different. The championship points are still the same, but the pricing's still a little different. And certain players look at that as a disincentive. But whenever there's a regional relatively close to where you live, you obviously want to attend to the best of your abilities. And this was definitely the Italian players' closest event comparatively. Now, it's different to say different regionals across Europe are not too close with how interconnected the European Union can get and feel in terms of transportation. It's not like how massive the United States is, where you have someone on the Eastern Coast flying all the way to Portland, Oregon, or LA, California. I'm like, that's a trek. But still, being able to attend your home regional and do well is always a good thing.
Yeah. I remember watching one of the interviews for, I think it was for day 1, and they're interviewing, it was a Italian player, and they're like, yeah, we looked at your records, like your past tournaments you done. It seems like you only go to 1 tournament a year, like, and you always do well. And he was like, yeah, I just go to the Bologna event every single year, and I just, like, I like it. It's just easy for me. It just turns out I just do well in my home tournaments, and that's all he does. And it's just really cool to really highlight those players, and especially like you said, being a special event, a lot of the more quote unquote professional Pokemon players choose to not go to these because there's no cash payout. Which I get it. If you make Pokemon your way of making your living, going into a special event isn't helping you. Like you'll get booster boxes, you'll get your CP, but you're not making any money from that. So seeing the players that go for the love of the game, not saying professional players don't do it for the love of the game, but there is literally no cash prizing for these. And you're seeing different players shine that you normally don't see.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, the next event in a couple weeks is the North American International Championship, the last event for Worlds, the second biggest payout of the year, the best prize pools, the most. I mean, all the ICs have these, right? The top 4 gets Worlds, all the cash prizing, the 3-day event. So that's coming up. It's going to have a new format. It's going to have a new set with Destined Rivals becoming legal. So, Dean, my question for that is, obviously we've seen the impact on live for a couple weeks now. What decks do you think are going to come into the format and cause a ripple effect or a shakeup to what we've known for the last month or two? Like, obviously, we just saw Roaring Moon peek its head into the conversation, but what other decks are we expecting for NAIC to do the same?
So if we're talking about new decks from the Destined Rivals expansion, we cannot have this conversation without mentioning Marnie's Grimmsnarl. This was released to us a couple weeks ago, but it is making such a big impact. We saw how powerful it was in Japan, and as we look at the online results, it is the #1 share right now. Granted, we only have about 3 days at time of recording of results, but this Grimmsnarl Frostlass deck is taking the whole community by storm. It is so powerful. It doesn't really get hit by weakness because it's weak to grass, and we're not really seeing many grass decks right now. So it's not really worried about the being hit with a one shot very easily. The Monkey Dory Frostlass is such a great combo. And then with the Grimmsnarl attack, you're doing 180, which doesn't seem like a lot, but then you're doing 30 to the bench.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are not playing the bench barrier, which we did get in Destined Rivals. People are just not putting it in the list. So all around, it's a great deck, and I would expect it to make the top 6 on the graphic for NAIC.
Yeah, the deck is just so strong in so many different aspects. Like you said, it has the Monkey Dory support, it has the Frostlass, which automatically supports Monkey Dory in kind of in that synergistic pieces. It naturally runs Darkness Energy, so it's not like you have to shoehorn Dark Energy into the deck to make Monkey Dory work. And it self-accelerates. So when you evolve to the Grimmsnarl, was it you do 5 Darkness cards, Dark Energy from your deck?
To your Marnie's Pokemon.
To your Marnie's Pokemon. I mean, you set up 2 Grimmsnarl with that, and you don't have to worry about doing the effect for the second evolution. So yeah, it's just so good.
Yeah, it's so easy to set up as long as you can get to your stage 2. And it's easy to get the Pokemon in your hand because you have that Spike Myth Gym Stadium where you can just look for a Marnie's Pokemon. So it has a lot of consistency built into the deck, and it's just all around just a very strong, powerful deck. This past weekend, there was a unofficial tournament in Ohio. You probably heard of it. Full Grip Games.
Yeah,
we all
Tricky
know
Gym,
about this store. They did a big 3K tournament with Destined Rivals being legal, and the whole event was taken down by Marnie's Grimmsnarl. Only one made top cut, and it won the whole entire event.
Yeah, I mean, it's so good. It sets up its own math. It's just like you said. You'd be shocked if it's not going to be in the top 6 graphics day 1, day 2. I think on the counter side of that, though, I do think a lot of players are trying to counter that deck. Trying to figure out how to counter that deck. Um, but either by just playing weakness, so playing a grass variant of some form, or having a deck that has a grass attacker to
Hmm.
really just take the two prizes and really make them set up. Because, like we said, once one Grimmsnarl gets put into play, the whole board is set up. The whole
Hmm.
attacking part of the board is set up, right? Because you're going to be able to power up two different Grimmsnarls, and then you can just attach for turn to the Monkey Dories and just power that up. So there's really two ways I see countering this deck. Run a grass deck to hit it for weakness. That way you don't have to worry about hitting a threshold as high. Or run a non-ability based deck and turn Frostlass off and have them have to knock you out with full health instead of them just wearing you away with Frostlass's chipping ability.
Yeah, those are the two counters to that deck. But the problem is, like, okay, let's play a grass deck or or add a grass tech for that. Well, there's not really a lot of those options right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, that's a great strategy, but can most of these decks even pull that off? Do they have room for something like this? Because then you have to add grass energy, and a lot of decks are not playing grass energy other than one or two.
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay, let's go the other way. Let's play someone without abilities. I can't think of a single deck that can completely run without abilities.
Yeah, and
So
even without the abilities, it's still putting damage on its own Monkey Dories, so it's just going to push 30 of it off to at least 30, sometimes 60 off onto you every turn anyway. So
yeah,
it doesn't matter what you do. It just kind of self-fulfills, it self-propels itself. So you don't, there is no way to really slow what it's doing down. It's just, you're just slowing what it's doing down just a little bit by doing either one of those two combinations.
exactly. I say the best strategy, your best counter deck for Grimstyle is setting up. It's playing something that can do one shot. That
Yeah.
way, you're not leaving energy. You're not leaving damage on board, and then you can go for the 2/2/2 prize race, which to me, that's why I think of Raging Bolt. It is the best
Mhm.
deck right now that can do the one shots. It's so easily you can set it up, and it plays a grass attacker.
Yes.
So typically, you play the Ogre Pawn, two mass Ogre Pawn, just to get the energy on board. But it's kind of like when Charizard was really popular. It is a backup attacker for that deck. So I can see Raging Bolt being very popular at NAIC. I know a lot of my friends have told me like, "Hey, try to just play Raging Bolt. You just need to get your points to get your goal for the year. Just play something easy."
Hmm.
And like for me, I'm like, I get it. It's a great deck. I just don't have fun playing that deck. But I know a lot of people do. It's such an easy, consistent way to get your wins. It's not my play style
Yes.
personally.
No, looking at the top 10, like you said, Raging Bolt is the only one that has grass energy naturally without shoehorning in a counter. Um, I think Raging Bolt is already seeing enough play where you can't really say it's going to see an increase in play, but it might be the counter deck of choice where, like, all right, I'm expecting a lot of Grimmsnarl, so I'm going to play Raging Bolt because it just has a better matchup. And Raging Bolt already has good matchups against other aspects of the meta, so it's not really a bad decision if that's what you're trying to go down. Um,
Exactly.
so it's there. I think you're right. Grimmsnarl Frostlass is the new best deck, and it's fresh. And it's easy to get a hold of. Let's be honest. Like getting the Marnie cards are not hard. Not only is Marnie going to get its own collection set, the Marnie cards are actually naturally in Destined Rivals.
Yes, because I pulled a Marnie's Grimmsnarl in my pre-release kits, and I was talking to Joe. He bought the Marnie's Grimmsnarl a box already. Those are out.
Yeah. So
So if you want the pieces, you just have to find a LGS or a store that has it and just buy two boxes
and you got it.
and just fill it in with bulk, and you're fine.
Hmm. The other deck that I'm interested in watching, and it's going to be a pure observation experiment for me for the tournament, is Ethan's Typhlosion. Um,
Hmm.
right now on online tournaments, it has the fifth most point share, but its win percentage really isn't the greatest. So it wins about 45% of its matches, which isn't too far off from a 50-50, which is what you want most of the time. But it has a 5.5% point share, which shows that when it does place, it places well. And I know, Dean, this is a deck that you are highly looking into and play testing and doing what you think is best for NAIC. And this deck isn't coming quietly. Obviously, it's another pack art card. It had a promo in the pre-release kits. Like, this card isn't coming out of nowhere, and should it shock anyone. This card is going to be hyped or even intrigued on by a lot of players because it's a low energy, single prize deck that can be easily get a hold of. Like, let's be honest, if it's in the pre-release kits, it's easier to get a hold of than not. And it has a lot of different ways that it can be used in terms of being efficient.
Yeah. This was one of the decks that I was really looking into. I love single prize decks. That's something I've been playing a lot more lately. That's something I actually made a comment during the live stream. I'm like, the 3 decks I brought to the live stream session were all single prizers. So it's something I've been gravitating towards. It is powerful. If you can get the Typhlosion set up, you can hit 280. Like, by turn 2, turn 3. I've done it before. And then you pair it with the Victini, you get 290. If you want to play 2 Victinis, 300. Like, you're hitting hard for a single prize, single energy attack.
Yeah, and I went through the online tournament kind of top cuts, right? The best results of Ethan's Typhlosion. And there's 2 main strategies I'm seeing people do. I'm seeing people do the Pidgeot strategy and just be able to set up stage 2s with quick search. And then I'm seeing the Dragapult strategy by using, really, Dragapult is not really Dragapult, it's really Dracolock, where people are using a Dracolock to filter and power through their deck and churn through their deck in order to set up the Typhlosion line and just do what it needs to do. So it has a couple of support friends that people are kind of figuring out which is the best fit. And there's a lot of really interesting ideas that is coming from this because it can have that flexibility because it can self-sustain itself, right?
Exactly. And there's actually a third partner for draw engines as well that we're not seeing as much, but it is out there with the Dunsparce with Runaway Draw.
Mm-hmm.
I personally am leaning more towards the Dracoloak line. I think the Dragapult is a very good backup attacker if needed. Playing 1 or 2 of those in that list. You're already playing the Fire Energy. It doesn't take much to add in 1 or 2 Psychic Energy. And if you need that Terra stronghold Pokemon to kind of last for a turn or 2 while you reset up your board, it can fulfill that slot. Another reason why I'm not really fond of the Pidgeot and the Dunsparce is another new card from Destined Rivals that came out, which is the Stadium Team Rocket's Watchtower, which turns off colorless Pokemon's abilities.
Yeah.
So if you have that in play, Pidgeot can't do Quick Search, and the Dunsparce can't do Runaway Draw, and they're just dead cards on your bench.
Yeah. No, I get that. Now, a card that I've seen it paired with a lot and makes sense, and we showcased it in the Flareon video way back when, is that Victini. The Victini, I think, fixes a lot of the math that people are trying to get. The 10 damage actually matters with the math that Ethan's does. And then also to keep in mind with all that, the fact that you can do other damage modifiers or damage reductions, for lack of better terms, with either the different techs out there, and also just we've been seeing more and more of the stadium that reduces the stage 2 health.
Yeah, there's just a lot of either HP modifiers or manipulation, where the Victini kind of helps. If you pair that with Victini, it gives you the perfect numbers. Because once you have all 4 Ethan's Adventures in your discard, you're hitting for 280. So if you play the Gravity Mountain out of Victini, you're doing 290, and that fixes your math for the Grimmsnarl. It fixes your math for Dragapult. It fixes your math for Gardevoir. The only one it doesn't fix your math for is Charizard, but if you can get some chip damage on that Charizard, then you're knocking that out with a single prizer. So I've seen Gravity Mountain, I've seen Vengeful Punch, I've seen Max Belt, Defiance Band. The the Typhlosion will need assistance to get those key numbers. So tool cards are very important in that deck from what I've been seeing as of right now.
Mhm.
But we never know. It's only been 3 days. There's plenty of time before NAIC. And all that could change as people figure out what is the best way to build Typhlosion, because in Japan there was a lot of different ways that it did well.
Mhm.
So I think we're just trying to figure out in a best of 3 scenario, how can we make Typhlosion the most optimal it can be.
Yeah, no, 100%. And then another deck that I want to bring up purely because of a matchup of one matchup spread is Rocket's Mewtwo. Rocket's Mewtwo is hitting at a 50% win rate across the board. Um, but it has one really good matchup spread according to early data, which is the Grimmsnarl matchup. It wins Grimmsnarl at a 2-to-1 ratio, which is crazy. But I think that's partially because you have Spidops, and Spidops hits it for weakness, right?
Spidups does hit it for weakness, so as long as you have the what does Spidups do? Because I
30
wanted to
damage,
bring this up too.
30 damage for
It,
each Rocket Pokemon in play, and obviously you're trying to power up that Mewtwo, which you need a whole bunch of Rocket Pokemon. And this deck only runs Rocket Pokemon, so
exactly,
to get what 320 divided by half is 160.
which is nothing. That's easy for that deck to do.
Yeah, so
So yes, so the Spidups definitely helps with Team Rocket's Mewtwo going into Grimmsnarl. And another card that I'm not really seeing in a lot of lists that I think will actually do very well into the Grimmsnarl match is the Team Rocket's Wobbuffet. Because it with the attack, it can move your damage from one Pokemon to another on your opponent's board. And if the Team Rocket's Mewtwo is base 280 HP, put a Bravery Charm on there, you're doing 330. Use the if it's like even at 320 HP, use the Wobbuffet's attack, move all that damage off. You're healing your Mewtwo,
mhm.
and you're knocking out Grimmsnarl.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
seeing the Mewtwo, or sorry, the Zapdos and Wobbuffet be the one-off inclusions.
mhm.
So either you're running the Mewtwo, or you're running the Wobbuffet, and the Zapdos is one of those situations where I get it, where you do 30 and move an energy from your opponent's active to their bench so you can play around with them for a double energy cost. The Zapdos is a double colors attacker by the end of the day anyway, so that's the only attack you're going to be doing with it. But it runs Mimikyu, runs Articuno. It's one of those situations where you can make it either very boxy, or you can make it very much a punishing deck with that Wobbuffet. Um, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if you just take out the Zapdos altogether, keep the Mimikyu and Articuno, and then put the Wobbuffet and just kind of do a little bit of best of both worlds. And just not be great at one thing, but be very good at a lot of things.
Yeah, I pulled up another list, and it plays 4 Spidops, 3 Mewtwo's, 1 Articuno, 1 Mimikyu, 1 Wobbuffet.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is really the way to go for something like NAIC,
I
where you
I would
expect
agree with
it
that.
to hit hard and get a lot of damage on your board.
I would agree with that. I think if I would run Rocket's Mewtwo, that's how I would feel comfortable running it, because you have your damage attackers by just having a wide bench, but you also have your punishers by being like, you can hit me, but you better one shot me, Wobbuffet. And you have your Articuno that will protect you a little bit. So it just feels like it covers its bases very strongly with that breakdown, compared to maybe playing a little more disruptive with the Zapdos.
Yeah, and one thing we haven't really talked about a lot is the Mimikyu. Like, I know
Oh,
we mentioned it, but that's a strong attacker. It is a free retreater. It only needs 2 energy to attack, so you just have to do the Team Rocket's energy.
uh-huh.
And then if you're going against Dragapult, if you're going against a Flareon deck, if you're going against any Terra deck, that thing can one-shot your opponent so easily, and they need to take a single prize in return.
Yeah, I think that's where I like the Mimikyu, especially in a format that we're in right now where Dragapult's so popular. It copies Dragapult, like you said. It copies Ogerpon for the Raging Bolt matchup. It copies Charizard. Um, it copies half a Terrabox. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
So like it's very well. I like that archetype. I just feel like it's a very good trainer's deck, and the only real problem with this deck is the fact that it'd probably be rather hard to get a hold of all the cards because almost the entire Pokemon lineup is brand
Yeah, everything is from Destined Rivals, so unless you pull a lot of it, you're not you'll either need it by your singles. Like I pulled one Rockets Mewtwo, I pulled almost no Spidops, I pulled two Torrentulas. I got the Articuno, I got the Mimikyu, I got the Wobbuffet. But even then, like now you need 4 Arianas, 4 Giovannis. You need your Protons, Archers, Tran Receivers. Like there's a lot of pieces that you need for this deck that are from Destined Rivals. So unless you're buying a lot of product or know a way to get these cards and you're planning on going NAIC, this is something that you'll be hard pressed to be fully prepared for in the next week and a half.
Yeah, this like easily 75% of this deck is Destined Rivals.
Yeah.
Like it's I think that the trainers will be relatively easy. They're typically uncommons. I think that Team Rocket Energy will be fairly easy. It's typically an uncommon rarity. It's getting that Pokemon line, like you said, I think is going to be the tough part. And like right now, I'm on Limitless, and because the cards are so new, it doesn't even have an estimated cost. So it's one of those situations where I don't know how expensive it would be to get a hold of, especially with the fact that you're going to be dealing with limited supply to get a
Mm-hmm.
hold of that card for sure.
So I think the last Destined Rivals deck that I kind of want to talk about
Mm-hmm.
before we go into our next segment is actually no, there's actually two decks I want to talk about. One we feature on the live stream is the Cynthia's Garchomp deck.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I've been seeing a lot of that do well in online tournaments, and I am utterly surprised that it's doing this well.
Really, because I mean, when the card combination was announced, it just sounds like a combination that's just going to be hard to overcome, in my opinion. Like the
Mm-hmm.
power weight plus the Garchomp plus the super efficient attacking. Like I'm not surprised it's good because it feels super easy to set up.
It's not the fact that I don't think it's good because I thought it was broken when we first saw this.
Mm-hmm.
It's more that no one was really talking about it. Everyone was talking about the Mewtwo EX. Everyone was talking about a little bit of Typhlosion, and then everyone's talking about Grimmsnarl. But Garchomp was nowhere in the conversation. And then I'll pull up play Limitless every day, first thing in the morning. I'm like, okay, let's see what people did last night. And top 8, I'll see a Garchomp. I'm like, okay, cool. Go to another tournament, a top 8. I'm like, oh, it got another top 8. We're not seeing it win tournaments, but the fact that it's making continual top 8s, it's really surprising when this was not part of the conversation. But I'm really glad it's doing well because after seeing Joe play it Friday night on the live stream, I think there's a lot going for it, specifically for one card, and it's not the Garchomp. I
Is it?
think the main important card in that list is the Cynthia Spiritomb.
Oh, 100% agree. I know when we were doing the set review in the first impressions, right? We were talking about how broken this card can be. The fact that you're combining it with such a high HP Garchomp, it's just one of those situations very similar to what we said with the Team Rocket's Wobbuffet, right? It's you better KO me or I'm going to punish you.
Exactly. And like seeing Joe play it, because I'm like, how many you play? He was like, oh, I play 2. Or no, I think he plays 3. I'm like, that is so smart. Like a lot of lists, early lists I've seen only played 1.
Mm-hmm.
I say you need to put 2 or 3 in that list
I
because
I would
you,
be comfortable with two.
yeah, because you can take full advantage of having a bulky Pokemon like Garchomp and soaking up that hit with free retreat, put
Mm-hmm.
it on the bench, bring up the Spiritomb, and just one-shotting over and over again. Because as soon as you get 300 damage on your board, you're pretty much good to go, and they have to respond to a single prizer while you're taking out multi-prizers.
Yeah, and you're able to just take the, like you said, prize trade in your favor, making your opponent take out a single prizer, protecting your Garchomps. Like it's a full win situation. There is no way that that Spiritomb is bad unless they gust around your Spiritomb, which in that case you're not really the most upset because they have to do a lot of damage in order to make that strategy viable.
I
And
can't wait for when Megas come out. I think this deck is going to be so powerful because instead of getting 2 prize cards, you're getting 3 prize cards.
yeah, but um you can't evolve Garchomp from Cynthia's Goodbye.
Oh no, I'm talking about like once we get the Mega Lucario and Mega Gardevoir, like you're knocking
Oh,
those out
throwing in
so
Mega.
easily with this Spiritomb, and
Yeah,
you're
you're
getting 3 prize cards for it.
so you're gonna throw the Mega Lucario in with that deck as well.
Oh no, I'm just talking about like I think this is a great counter to those decks.
Oh, counter to the decks. Okay, okay, okay. Because I'm sitting
Yeah,
there
I'm
like,
just saying
well,
like
it
as soon
has
as
Buddy
Megas come
Energy.
out, this I think this deck is gonna be super even more powerful because
Gotcha.
the prize trade is even better.
Oh, because you're gonna be getting more prizes. Gotcha. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down now. It took me a second because I was thinking like, how is it gonna get better with Lucario? It's not a regular Garchomp. It's because you're
And
supposed to.
honestly, you can probably play a 1/1 Mega Lucario in this list too.
Yeah.
I've seen even some Mammoth decks playing a 101 or 1/1 line of Cynthia's Garchomp as well. I think this archetype, this trainer card, or this trainer Pokemon line is so good and so versatile.
Hmm.
It can see play in a whole different multitude of decks.
Yeah, for sure. And then you said there was one more deck that you wanted to point out.
So this one's definitely way under the radar. And I encountered this the other night while playtesting, and it kicked my butt. And I'm like, I totally forgot about this card existing, which is the Yamega EX.
Yeah, I remember this story that you're telling me because you're testing Typhlosion, obviously. You're kind of playing around with that, and you're like, "Oh, cool, grass!" And then what happened?
Yeah, it's not weak to fire. And I totally forgot about that because I'm like, oh, grass. I just automatically think, not looking at the card, it's weak to lightning because it's a bug flying type. And it totally screwed up my game plan. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be easy. I don't need to get all 4 of my Ethans in the discard. I can get away with 2. No, I do 160. I'm like, okay, this stinks. They play the Wolchian, which has an attack where it increases my attack cost by 2 colorless, and my whole gimmick is attacking for a single energy. So I lose a turn of doing nothing but them staring at me. And then they knock out my Typhlosion, and then it's just we forgot about how strong Omega is, and it's actually pretty dang good.
Yeah, I mean, I pointed that out in the review video that we did. I'm like, this gives grass an alternate weakness.
Yeah.
Nothing else. It doesn't do anything else really great. But just giving a type an alternate weakness means it doesn't fear a fire matchup anymore.
No, not at all. And it's hitting 210, so you're one-shotting Grimmsnarl, you're one-shotting Charizard since that's coming back with Dragapult. And then one cool inclusion is that Iron Hands EX has a new partner. We've been seeing it in the Joltik box, but people have been playing this Iron Hands
Mm-hmm.
because as soon as you attack with the Gamega, you move energy to your Pokemon any way you like.
Yeah.
So as long as you can get that manual lightning energy, you can set up your Iron Hands EX and get and amp your opponents and get extra prizes.
That makes sense. Again, more coverage kind of piece because Iron
Mm-hmm.
Hands checks the lightning weakness and all that kind of stuff. Again, it's that creative deck building. The deck building that makes it where you don't have a auto loss, where all your losses are at least going to be competitive matches.
And the cool thing is, you're not really seeing a lot of lightning decks. The only lightning deck right now is Joltik Box.
Yeah.
And
So
with Iron Hands and with being able to switch out very easily, it's really not weakness isn't that big of a deal.
no.
So yeah, this deck came out of nowhere, like legit out of nowhere. It's kind of like the Roaring Moon at Bologna. This deck came out of nowhere, and I'm actually really impressed with it. I'm tempted to kind of play around with it soon. I won't be able to. I kind of wish I knew about this. I would have started playtesting for NAIC a while ago,
Yeah.
but unfortunately, I won't be able to get any of the cards for it. I didn't pull any of those pieces.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it'll be a fun, definitely road deck to definitely check out. And I know my shop's doing a road deck night. This may make the cut for me. I
Yeah.
may look into this.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Alrighty. So, Dean, is there anything else you want to say in terms of just forecasting and looking forward to NAIC in this early portion of the Destined Rivals meta?
Not really. I think we covered everything with the weekend of the set release. Grimstar obviously is the new powerhouse. We see Typhlosion kind of peeking its head out, say, hey, I am here. Garchomp is doing the same thing. So we're seeing new archetypes being introduced, maybe not just optimized yet, other than the Grimmsnarl.
Mm-hmm.
And then just everyone else kind of adapting to some of the new techs that got released. So Watchtower is definitely something to watch out for. The Team Rocket supporters are just phenomenal. So we're watching out for that too. And I think there's a lot of fun decks that no one has really touched on that I'm excited to really see grow. And there was a certain card that I know you and me have our eye on that no one's been talking about. And I think you were really excited to kind of build a deck around this concept.
Yeah. So, when Journey Togethers came out, everyone saw the art for Wailord and was like, oh my god, that's a pretty card. And then they saw the attack cost and went, oh my god, that's going to be impossible to execute, even with the Baxcalibur line, right? There was no way to really cycle and really push the consistency of this Hydro Pump attack. It can do really big numbers, but when the Wailord gets knocked out, what happens? All that energy goes to the discard pile. Yes, we have superior energy retrieval. Yes, we have other cards to get those cards back into our hand, but that's a lot of resources you're burning just to recover energies. So when we were going over the set, I saw this Huntail come from Destined Rivals. Well, the Huntail has this catch diver ability that says whenever your water Pokemon gets knocked out from damage, put all the energy, the water energy, into your hand. And I was like, oh my god, Wailord has a really good partner now. Because if you have a Huntail into play, if your Wailord gets knocked out, you just put all those energy into your hand, promote another Wailord, put all those energy back into play because you have the Baxcalibur on the bench as well, and you're just cycling through 230 HP stage 1s with Hydro Pump with 5 energy. You're knocking out 80% of the meta. So it's like, this could be dumb. Like, this could be busted. It's going to be fun. So this week, I wanted to look at Wailord with this Huntail because I really think the Huntail brings Wailord up to life. So with that, we already talked about the Wailord. We already talked about the Huntail. Talked about the Baxcalibur. Those are the 3 pieces that make the deck run. But there's also one other Pokemon line that made sense because of some of the synergistic pieces to it, which is the Revavroom, which has the ability where you discard an energy from your hand and then you draw until you have 6 cards in hand. So you're using the energy because you're going to have a lot of it in your hand anyway. Put pretty much the rest, anything, you basically get your hand down to 1 card, which is that water energy. Discard that water energy with the ability and draw a fresh 6. It's really what you want to do. And then you still run cards like Night Stretcher. You still run the superior energy retrieval to try to get any resources back into the discard. But you're also running TM Evo, you're running Earthen Vessel, you're running Buddy-Buddy Poffin to set up everything that's not your Wailords or your Wailmers. You're running Precious Trolley as your A-spec of choice to basically get your bench set up whatever turn you want to do that. And then you run the rare candies to get your Baxcalibur up. And you're really just being aggressive with the draw because you can be. You're running researches. You're running Morty's Conviction because you're assuming your opponent's going to be setting up as well. And then I put in 2 Surfers just in case you get stuck. switch and draw up to 5, I think, is really good in this deck because it's. If I was playing against Wailord and I saw a powered up Wailord against me and I saw the Huntail, I would just try to gust around it. That's where the Surfer can get around that strategy a little bit because it's a one-sided switch. It isn't like an escape rope or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, and then you run 13 energy, 11 basic water, and 2 reversal. So you're really just going all in on the Wailord because you just can't. To be quite honest with you, you just can't.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a very fun single prize deck, something that no one will really be expecting. And yeah, I know everyone was hyped on this Wailord when it was first introduced, but it quickly lost steam, as you mentioned, because that attack cost is so hard to do. And then once you lose it, you can't really power it up again. And yes, we have Baxcalibur, but that's kind of gone out of play too since Champal is not as strong anymore. But yeah, this Huntail brings it back to life. It's kind of like when I was talking about Heatran on the live stream. Destined Rivals is not just only introduced a lot of new archetypes, but it also brought back to life a lot of archetypes. And Wailord is a good example of how a Pokemon that no one really is looking at is so strong for another card that when they're paired up together, it can be a powerhouse.
Yeah, and I'm excited to do the showcase video that's going to come out on Friday as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've been kind of waiting for the Destined Rivals to get live onto live so I could have fun with this deck. I know you were looking forward to live stream on Friday. I was looking forward to being able to play with Wailord on Friday. That was the card I was looking forward to most.
Yeah, so everyone please be on the lookout for the Wailord showcase video featuring the Huntail. I know this is something unique. I haven't really heard anyone talk about this. So if you're looking for something unique, this is the deck for you. A lot of shops are doing fun tournaments in June since we can't run CP events. So if you want to bring something unique and something that your opponents are going to be reading your cards over and over again, this may be a deck for you. So take a look. I know we've been really excited to plan this deck for a while now. So can't wait to see the video on Friday. But yeah, Devin, before we head out, do you have any final things for our listeners today?
No, like I said, the new set is coming out. I'm excited to play with the new cards. I'm excited to come up with some new deck ideas and different strategies. And I'm excited to see what this format's going to bring us. Yes, NAIC is the crown jewel of this period. But outside of that, it just means a lot of people get to play around on live and kind of explore different ideas. And I'm excited to see what combinations come out of this set.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the weird decks that we can come up with this summer for Destined Rivals. But yeah, we're just beginning this new format, so I'm excited. Before we head out, I just want to say thank you for everyone for listening. We are on the road to 100 subscribers. So if you made it this far, please like and subscribe. Subscribe to our channel, like this video, tell your friends all about us. We're just a couple of Pokemon fanatics that loves to talk about the weird things in the trading card game. And we just want to bring you all along for that journey. But with all that being said, Devin, any final thoughts?
No, I would say crack packs, have fun, and see what happens. We have a lot of, I hate to say it, we have a lot of nothing in front of us, which means a lot of exploration.
Exactly. Yeah, I know I'm going to have fun. I can't wait to play those fun locals this upcoming month after NAIC. But thank you all for listening to this week's episode of the Rogue Deck Chronicles. And as always, have fun playing those sneaky decks.
Bye, guys.